Afternoon, folks. Time for another set of hobby horror / nice stories. This is great. This is what I wanted yesterday. I even said in the comments. I said in the comments that I'd love to read a positive and then a negative and then a positive and then a negative. It'd be really cool. That's what we're doing. So this is fantastic. So, if you like what we do on the channel, if you like these stories that you get when you're coming home from work, or whether you're doing your painting, or whatever you're doing, like the video. Share it if you can. More views is always great. And, subscribe and stuff. Patreon's down below if you want. And also, the Discord is down below. It is free. So please, come and say hello to us. Doesn't cost you any money. Right, so. Let's have a little look here. So, we have Bolt back again, as I asked him for more stories from his time working in Denmark for Games Workshop. So, he sent me a few more little snippets here, which I think is really, really cool. So let's start with some hobby horror stories, as he was sending them in yesterday. So, Bolt says, okay, let's discuss the time I took a vacation. 2 years into my time in Games Workshop in Denmark, the missus felt it was time for a vacation, and as a good boyfriend eroded my time, as a good boyfriend, sorry, English not his first language, as a good boyfriend eroded me by time and nagging. I agreed to not do a, well, you play Warcraft, I play models vacation, as we normally do. She seems pretty cool, to be fair. No, this time it was time to travel, and Euro Disney was the target area. Seriously, Mickey, buy a Warhammer license so we can have a drop pod ride. That would be pretty cool. The week before, I was going to... Well, to be fair, a drop pod ride is just straight down, isn't it? So you just be shaking a lot. Anyway, the week before, I was going to go on the already paid and planned week-long vacation. My boss called me into the office and said, I made a mistake. You can't go on vacation because Saturday is the store anniversary, so I need you in store. Okay, number one. Okay. I know this is illegal where I'm from, so I think there's a cut-off point. I think it's like a week. But if you're booking extended leave and you got everything booked, he wouldn't be able to sack you for going on your holiday because he's already given you off, that sort of a thing. So, hopefully you got to go on your holiday. But let's read. After some very cross words were compromised. Oh, after some very cross words, we compromised, and I promised to come in the same day I got home from France, Friday, to help decorate the store. Then go home, sleep a few hours before the big day. I'm an army veteran, so going with little sleep is not too hard for me. I just drink more coffee and hate the world a little more. Okay, fair enough. So basically he's trying to say, you had time booked off when you got home. Okay, right, to recuperate. Right, cool. We're only going to France, I suppose, but hey, we'll see. So Friday came, and 200 balloons needed to be blown up, flags hung, and so on. So, just breaking off away from the story, when I had my own store anniversary, I knew I would have to clear everything up because I was a one-man store. It was just me. So, I had balloons and bunting and shit, but I refused to have too much. I was like, no. They're here to buy models. That's fine. But I'm not going to be, giving it the old, making like a festival. I landed in Copenhagen at 1700 hours. Okay. You said at 17, so I don't know what that means. Do you mean at 1700 hours? That's 5 o'clock at the... Anyway, moving on. Went home to drop girlfriend and bags, and then went to the store. He was there and helped for a bit, but left at around 8 p.m. Oh, you did arrive back at 5 p.m. He left at around 8 p.m. to go home to rest before the big day, leaving little old me to decorate till around 10 p.m. Yeah, this guy seems like a fucking piece of work. He does seem worse than my old manager. My old manager was, he had a lot of faults, but what I will say, if he set you to doing something like a store anniversary or something like that, he would be involved in what was going on. Do you know what I mean? He would plan everything out, and then he would help a little bit, but you'd be doing most of the heavy lifting essentially. But he would never leave the store and just leave you alone. He wasn't. He was. There's a difference between bone idle and lazy. Okay, bone idle to me means that you're still in the store. You're still doing what you're technically supposed to be doing, but you're leaving the heavy lifting to others because, you're the manager now, sort of a thing. Fair enough. Shitty thing to do. I wouldn't do it, and I didn't do it when I'd relieved staff members working with me. When I was in a working Games Workshop, I tried to do exactly the same thing that they were doing. But this guy sounds like a real piece of work, because even my manager, who I've said before wasn't great, he never just went home and left us to it. He would try and work around us as much as he could. He was a dick about it. He'd give you attitude about it. Like, if you had an interview for something, like when I had an interview for head office to become a manager, getting time for that was pretty shitty. Like, I was like, yeah, can I book half a day off so I can go down to Nottingham? And he said, no, you can't. Right? I'll let you go there, but you need to come back in the afternoon. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Okay, and then I got there that afternoon after the interview. He left, and you know what? My other staff member was there, and about an hour before I was due to go home, the other staff member was like, "Just go home. Like, it's empty. What are you doing here? Like, it's like, just go home." So I did. Anyway. So, Bolt says, I got home around 11 PM and slept for a few hours before waking up and going to the store. Now, we are the only Games Workshop store in the country, so store anniversary is pretty insane. Oh god. A normal Saturday takes in around £1,000 to £1,600, but the store anniversary can get to £10,000. Whoa. Good times, but crammed into a small store, it gets bonkers. Prizes were given out, cake eaten, and good times were had. Here is the best positive side note of this story. We had a guy who only came to the store on special occasions. He bought a fortune worth of models and paints, as he always did. But when he couldn't find anything more he wanted to buy, he would ask people with less cash on hand what they wanted, and he'd buy it for them. And that's pretty cool. Alright, that's great. That's great. I asked him about the cost of it all, and he just smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm stupid rich, and Warhammer's my best friend." Such a champ. I still play with him to this day. He never wins a game, the poor sod. Well, the least you can do is let him win if he's going to buy you some models, man. The horror of the day was drip-fed. My manager was sulking behind the till, talking about this being a slow birthday and not meeting the target and all his usual BS. Yeah, I fucking hate that, dude. I really, really do despise that. It depends what the target is. You set the target, and this is what I always got pissed off at my manager for. Okay. Games Workshop's target, let's say Games Workshop's target for a store anniversary was like, $6,000 or whatever. He would set it as being $9,000. And if we didn't hit that, he would be really pissed off. I understand pushing sales, but like he would go above and beyond to try and, push to make himself look good. And of course, he's not the one pushing the sales. We're doing that. We're doing the hard bit. We're doing the heavy lifting. I hate shit like this. Bad for morale. Do you ever see that very famous sketch showing the difference between a leader and a boss? There's this big sledge full of stuff, and the boss is sitting on the sledge full of stuff, making it heavier on a chair, pointing forward to where he wants all the lads to go, right? That's a boss. And that's what you had, and that's what I had. A leader is somebody at the front of the sledge pulling it with everybody else and pointing forward as he's doing it. That's a leader, right? Yeah. Anyway. When our mother, father and son wanted to buy into the hobby, they did not want the Dark Imperium box because the Death Guard didn't speak to them. So they bought the Mechanicus vs. Necron pack that was out and a Space Marine starter box. Some paint sets, base shade and layer, glue clipper and brushes. That's pretty cool. As he processed the order, he called me over in that finger-wagging condescending way only a GW manager or Imperial Guard commissar can do. Yeah, I know that one, yeah. and asked if I could see what I had done wrong. Pointed to the KPI and said, "You have made no core sales this week. What's your excuse?" I answered, "I did not bring any core games to sell at Euro Disney. Sorry." He then exploded, telling me that if I wanted to work for him, I would have to start making sacrifices and not going away all the time. Wow. Rest of the day, I just smiled to our customers and internally started to plot revenge. Day ended with lots of plastic sold and me coming home to a girlfriend who had been out LARPing and ordered 2 tons of semi-lethal takeout for her, me, and our foster son. I promise the next one will be positive. Okay. Alright, cool. So, more please, Bolt. This is really good stuff. Excellent stuff. Yeah, we've all had managers like this, but this guy seems like a special case. Again, you know that person that I keep saying is ideal to work for Games Workshop retail? You know? And what I mean by that is, you will do well in the company because you're exactly what they want, so it doesn't matter how badly your store does. They'll keep you around. This is the kind of guy I'm talking about, unfortunately. This is the kind of guy who, you know, kisses the right ass, you know, gets his nose browning in the right asses. He knows exactly where to go, who to speak to, who to butter up, right? And yeah, this is him, right? This is the guy that they want. Every manager training session we had was full of people like this. It's right. I felt so. And listen, I've always said this before. People give me credit for just being a normal person. I'm just a normal person. There's nothing special about me. I'm just some dickhead. That's literally who I am. Some dickhead. Couldn't even pick me out of a lineup, right? But I felt out of place in this group, right? In this manager's group, in this place that where you all go and brown nose together. I just couldn't stand it. I hated it. And this is the kind of guy who would go there and do really well. But, you know. Moving on. Grimm's Instinct. Howdy, it's me again. Watched your video of wanting nice good stories. Well, I have a story for you that happened today. Thursday, April 21st. Oh, that's cool. Alright, brilliant. Went to my local store to get some practice tournament games, as there will be a 2,000 point tournament this weekend. Alright, so this literally happened yesterday, everybody. This is cool. Alright, cool. One of my friends and his son, who was 13, came into play. My buddy and I start playing a practice match when the son starts building his custodies. Alright? I asked if he was going to play this weekend at the event. He said, "No, I don't have enough. I only have 1,700 points." Okay? I said, "Okay, that sucks. Would you like to?" And of course, he was sad he couldn't, but he said he would love to play, yes. My buddy and I finished our game. I talked to him and went and bought him some Custodian Guard, Terminators, and a Contemptor Dread. Told him, "Your dad said you're doing well in school, so as an act of goodwill and to help the fight on Saturday, I give you these." He sat stunned. I thought he died, the poor kid, just stared wide-eyed. I've never felt this good gifting someone something they love. Much love, and wish the kid and me luck this weekend. Well, very good luck, Grimm's Instinct. That was very cool of you, man. I hope you guys do really well. And yeah, not only I believe you've made that kid's year, which is an astonishingly good thing to do. And as I said yesterday, I firmly believe that the hobby is full of people like this. It's full of people willing and wanting to help others who want to have a good time in the hobby. Sometimes life gets in the way, and unfortunately, you know, some of us have more than others, which is just fine. But we need to be willing to help out kids, especially, you know. Some of these guys that, you know, they have parents who aren't that well off, who are trying to get by. I had one of those. My mum was, God bless her, you know, she's a single parent, trying to struggle through in a job, and didn't have, we never went without a Christmas. I always got Warhammer at Christmas, you know, and a birthday I got one or two things, but, you know, other kids were getting stuff every other week, you know, to add to their army, and I couldn't do that. And so if someone did this to me when I was a kid, like, you know, actually went and got me some models, and it wasn't in a creepy way, it was in like, look, you know, your dad or your mum said you're being good, look, here you go. That's amazing. And I can only tell you, You're making such a difference to that person's hobby and that person's time doing their hobby. What a fantastic thing to do. But again, the wonderful thing about our hobby is this isn't an isolated case. What Grim did here, I've heard quite a lot. You know, I get quite a lot of stories like this, which I'm going to read out, but I don't want them all to be the same thing every week, you know. But this is fantastic, and it's not an isolated case at all. You know, there are people out there who, I used to see it all the time, there are people out there who will just buy each other models just for the fuck of it, saying, look, you know, I hear you're doing well in school, or thank you for being my friend, or that was a... I've even seen one thing happen in a Games Workshop, where an Irish guy, you know, quite well off, had a decent game with a young lad, he beat the shit out of him, you know, figuratively, you know, in the game, and bought him more models for being a good sport. You know, just came up to him and said, oh, yeah, I think you're missing these. And he's giving him pointers throughout the art, but you know, I think you're missing Deathwing Knight, and I think you're missing some land speeders. You know, because those are the things that really make Deathwing and Ravenwing, blah, blah. And he went and bought him some Deathwing Knights and some land speeders. There you go. Done. You know, and it was just one of those. Just like, yeah, you were a good sport. You know, I think the hobby is full of teachers and dads, you know, or teachers, dads, and chads. Those are the people who I think are in the hobby quite a lot. And there are obviously lady versions of those things as well, you know, whatever. You know, your teachers... I could call you guys chads as well, fuck it. Teachers, chads, and mums, right? But everybody wants to nurture and bring people in and foster the hobby, which is why it annoys me that Games Workshop seems so dead against nurturing those people back, if you know what I'm saying. They seem so dead against having those people have any sort of fun in the store, and that annoys me somewhat. But anyway, moving on. Azrael. Oh, we don't like Dark Angels in these parts, even though we're descended from them. Anyway, Azrael says, hi North, love your content. Thank you, man. Here is a Kill Team launch story time. Okay. At the Games Workshop near me, they ran a tournament over the course of 8 weeks. And then had a playoff for the top 8 players. Ooh, okay. So, that's very interesting that you say that, because in my second interview, where they invited me to come in just to talk to them, I think I've said about this before, it felt like a fucking ambush, but like, they wanted me to come in and talk to them, and I had two other, my name's Dean, for those who don't know, you know, but I had two other Deans in my store, right? So, I had a league table of all the games that were going on in my store. Number one, not really supposed to play games in the store, but fuck it, I was selling models out of it, so I didn't care. So I had Dean S, and I think it was Dean T, or something like that. Or Dean... something... doesn't matter. Anyway, one of those Deans was near the top of the league table, and they said, why are you on this? And I was like, do you see his initials there? And you see what my initials are? Yeah, those are different. Like, why do I need to explain this to you? So, that's how averse they are to having games in the store, and they've used the pandemic to get rid of most of them. So, the fact that you were able to do a Kill Team tournament is really big, and that's really, really cool. So, try and support that local Games Workshop, man, because that seems really cool. The draw was done up by the staff, so they're drawing names out of a hat of who's going to play who. And... oh, wait. I'll explain it a bit more. We get to the playoff, and there is a guy who is a good friend to the guys in the store. Myself, 2 players that represented our country in the WTC earlier that year, big tournament. 2 others, and 2 wild cards that were replacing 2 top scorers that couldn't attend. Okay, fair enough. The draw was done up by the staff, and with the friend and I on opposite sides of the draw. Cool. On my side, I have both the WTC players and a scorer, whilst the friend has the wild cards and 1 scorer. Okay. Friend has an easier time getting to the final, it seems. First WTC player picks up his models and leaves after I beat him. Yep. Sounds about right, tournament players. Sorry, guys, sorry. Shouldn't say that. Second WTC player at least enjoyed the game, and we shook hands with each other at the end. I go to the finals against the store friend and 0 him out in the last round. They do a photo shoot with the guy who got the silver, and he just handed me the gold and waved me out of the store because the guy that lost me was sulking about it. Right, that makes a lot more sense. When I read this the first time, I didn't really get it. So that guy's a friend of the store. Brilliant. And he got salty with you for winning, so the manager just gave you the medal and just waved you out the store. That's hilarious. Well done for winning the tournament, I guess. But yeah, you know, that sucks that you were cheated that way. Not all tournament players are like this, of course. I genuinely think the reason why I don't do tournaments is because it takes away, I think, the one thing that I really love about Warhammer 40,000, and that's the fact that I like telling stories on the tabletop. And I think when you're in that environment and things are going hell for leather all the time, and you're trying to get a win, and you're trying to get this and that, and you'll then remember all your rules, it's hard to laugh and just take control of the game and have fun, you know? Which is normally why I don't play in tournaments, but I will do one day. Especially a kill team, that sounds pretty cool. The last kill team game I did, or tournament I was in, a guy brought 2 tanks in his kill team, and the organizer just let him do it, and was like, oh, for God's sake, okay. Yeah, of course he won the tournament, because, you know, as you do. Can't really kill a tank with fucking, you know, chainswords in 7th edition. Anyway, Zenray says, "Hey Northern, I have a feel-good story for you today to help offset the negative stories you have to go over. Thank you very much, my friend. And I will say, the stories that I've been getting have been very nicely punctuated, for the most part. Back in mid-December 2021, I was at a small hobby shop with some guys playing a 2v2 pickup game. So just walked in, ask who wants a game, 2v2, cool. On this particular day, a father and son duo comes in, and immediately the father turns to the son and says, 'Don't touch anything,' in a stern voice. Okay. The kid had Down syndrome and looked to be no older than 16. He gave his father a nod and just starts to browse around until he comes up to our table and just standing there silently, not saying anything. We let him watch as we play, and when my opponent starts to move his army around, the kid speaks up and points to one of the models. I'm assuming this kid never says very much at all. The kid says, 'That's Iron Hands, right?' he asked the guy playing, to which we were all surprised. None more surprised than the Iron Hands player, who says, 'Yeah, that's my Iron Hands army.' The guy playing was barely able to squeak out. The kid then proceeds to point out and name all of our armies, and even some of our sub-factions he correctly points out, which just amazes us all. So he's like telling you what clans they are in the Iron Hands list. That's pretty cool. Iron Hands, Militarum, Raven Guard, and my Mechanicus army, he all pointed out as if he had been playing 40k for years. When we asked if he played, he shook his head and said, 'No, my dad can't afford to buy models really, but I like to watch videos in the game and it seems really cool.' Right, cool. I don't know what came over us, but it must have been the Christmas spirit, because we all decided at that moment that we were going to give this guy a gift he'll never forget. All 4 of us pitched in and bought a combat patrol of Grey Knights, a box of dice, a copy of the Indomitus novel, and a copy of the rules for this kid. That's a really good starter set, really, when you think about it. The look on his face when we all gave him his stuff was of pure awe and wonder. He couldn't believe it. After reassuring him and his father we were serious about letting him have all this stuff, he got really excited and quickly got to work fixing up his models. To this day, he comes down to the shop almost every week to play with his best friends, to do battle and discuss the lore of 40k. He's become a great member of our local community, and has become a great friend of all of us at the shop. I mean, you know, what more can I say? Yeah, a wonderful story. And one of many that I get all the time, that I just can't get enough of. I cannot get enough of these stories of people getting exactly what they need, exactly when they need it, by this amazing group of people that we've got in the hobby. It's just fantastic. You know, everybody is out to nickel and dime, and everybody. But when you look at the attitude of Games Workshop compared to the attitude of these wonderful human beings, it really does tell you that they don't deserve us. That's it. They don't deserve us. You know, they just don't. No, I don't think any hobby really deserves the sheer quality that tabletop war gamers generally are as hobbyists. But Games Workshop definitely are near the bottom of that list of deserving companies that deserve a fan base like this. I fear for Games Workshop because this is the lifeblood. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for that one word, atmosphere, of the setting of 40k, we wouldn't be here. There's no real atmosphere in Age of Sigmar, right? There isn't. It's like Mortal Kombat, right? There isn't one, right? If it wasn't for the drama, the atmosphere of 40k, we wouldn't be in the hobby. We just wouldn't. And if Games Workshop tried to start to take that away, take the grimdark away, and start to like newt it down 140,000, that's the death of the hobby for me. Because we will start to lose people like this. And we can't. Can't afford it. We can't afford to lose people like this. It is imperative and beyond important that people like this are nurtured and feel welcome in the hobby. Both the kid and the guys who are buying him some stuff. So, Wild Alaskan is back, everybody. He's back with another tale of daring do. He says, "Hello again, Mr. XL. You've mentioned mental illness a number of times in your videos." Yes, I have. I thought I'd share a related story from my own experience as a manager of the friendly local game store. Alright, lay it on me. The friendly local game store I managed was on the side of a busy road, and so it was not at all uncommon to have non-gamers wander in just to see what the place was about. One quiet evening, a gentleman entered the store for this very reason. Immediately I could tell he was most likely homeless. He was dirty and unkempt, though he didn't smell any worse than any of our other regulars. I missed that the first time around. Oh, you little bitch. His clothes were a bit tattered, and he carried a ragged backpack. I was wary, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, as we all do. As we all do. He introduced himself as Thurman, and apologised for being a bit drunk, quote-unquote, and proceeded to ask the usual non-gamer questions. What do you do here? And what is this for? And the like. After answering his questions and showing off our wargaming table and a few models, he seemed to be pretty harmless. Since there hadn't been any customers all night, I figured it wouldn't do any harm to let him hang out for a bit and get out the cold, as it was February in Alaska. I offered him a bottle of water, and we sat down for a chat while I painted some models. I've done this before as well with a guy who had clear, really nice, lovely guy, but he had a clear learning disability or some sort of thing going on with him, but very smart and very confident, and he just talked and talked and talked. And it was like a what's the word? Almost like an ASMR track whilst I was doing my modelling, because I didn't have to say very much. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty cool as I'm painting. Anyway, at this point, he began giving me a history lesson on all the nefarious deeds committed by the CIA, both in general and against him personally. He then told me a very interesting story about how the National Security Agency, NSA, had been hassling skateboarders since 1981 because they want the acronym for from the National Skateboarding Association. Okay. Eventually he thanked me for the water and got up to leave. Just as he was on his way towards the door, he stopped and turned. "Are you guys pot friendly?" he asked. This was before marijuana was legal in Alaska. He told me he was an entrepreneur, and that we should open one of those Amsterdam-style cafes because it would help people understand the game's rules better. And with that, he disappeared into the night. They only come out at night. Nearly 4 months later, Thurman turned up one evening when, again, there was no one else in the store. He walked in and sat down at the table across from me, declaring that he had a new idea I might be interested in. He then proceeded to fish a handful of rocks out of his bag and dump them on the table. In his head, Thurman had designed a machine using the bottom portion of a blender, some duct tape and sandpaper. He believed it would be possible to smooth the stones into dice shapes, which we could then sell to tourists as a handmade Alaskan item. He's obviously high as a fucking kite. I explained to him that whilst his idea was not without merit, it might be difficult because inconsistencies in the rock might cause the dice to be unbalanced. His backup plan, I love how he's got one. I love that he's got one. His backup plan involved taking low-grade gemstones, grinding them into dust, and using heat to pressure and compress the gem dust into polished dice-shaped gemstones. His ultimate goal was to sell the dice for $27,000 each, keeping a mere $300 for himself, and setting some of the remainder aside for whenever he got married. Guy's got aspirations, you gotta respect that. I was trying to think of a good counterpoint to this when Thurman became upset, thinking that the station I was listening to on Pandora was actually the CIA attempting to steal his idea. He thanked me for my time and quickly left. I never saw Thurman again. I hope he's doing well and that the CIA never caught up to him. We all get him. We all get him. And I'm telling you now. And he was lucky he caught you on 2 good days. Because if I'm having a bad day in the store and like this happens, I'm just like, oh, dude, I can't be doing this today. I'm just going to need to stop you there. I don't want to hear about this anymore. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But yeah, patience of a saint, man. Well done. And I hope Thurman's doing well as well. You know, maybe we should adopt Thurman as the channel mascot. Who knows? Then again, Oasis would be really upset. Right, moving on. Malagur's the Twisted. Brilliant. Like it when people have good taste in characters. Spoiler alert for the Horus Heresy to do with Malagurst. Spoiler. Okay, they're gone. Cool. Yeah, I was gutted when he died. But yeah, at least he did it to save the War Master, I guess. But meh. Shouldn't have needed saving. He shouldn't have needed saving because fucking Lemon Rush shouldn't have been able to nearly kill him. Or to actually kill him. Just fuck off, Games Workshop. Anyway. Hi, Northern Exile. Hello, Malagurst. Have a story about my experiences with a fluffy gamer, quote unquote. I was part of an Age of Sigmar Path to Glory campaign and took part with my Tzeentch army. That was probably the most fun I'd had in the hobby. One of the members in the group hardly ever met up with us in person. I'd yet to meet him. But it was clear from Facebook messages that he was the problem in this particular group. An example of this, that he made a private chat with the rest of us to bitch about one of the campaign players. Simply because the player had corrected him and told him Exorcists were not a Blood Angel successor chapter and told him to read his codex properly. Well, the other person does seem pretty bitchy, to be fair. But if he's a Blood Angels player, come to the territory. Oh, I know, I'm kidding. I joke. We had decided to meet up for a 2v2 2,000 point game. I was teaming up with a Black Legion player who was new to Warhammer 40,000. I offered to pair him with my Death Watch, as I also used to play Black Legion. I turn up and everybody except James, problem toxic player, was there. James arrived about an hour and a half later because, of course. The guy had dyed orange hair, was fat, and wearing an ill-fitting top. His army was unpainted, and on top of this, he stank. Because, of course. We're playing the game, and it's clear that not only does he not know the rules, had to remind him about his chapter tactics, shock assault, etc. He also called out cheating when it hadn't even happened, and spent half the game whinging that I'd brought a Leviathan Dreadnought. Oh god. The other beta male on his side joined in, despite the fact I'd been helping him with his rules, followed by the Black Legion player, who was with me, who had been helping learn the game and his army. This was made worse by the fact that the opposing team stopped to have chats mid-game, slowing down the whole process and ignoring their opponents. I felt pretty betrayed at this point, but played the game till the end. Afterwards I approached James and told him I had fun playing with the group until he joined. His response was to whimper, "I don't care," and waddled off. So, this seems to me, my friend, like Malagurst, I'm going to call you Mal, because that's what Horus calls him, and I'm calling you that as well, because me and Horus are tight. So, it seems to me like you're a normal hobbyist who stumbled upon a group of cretins, to be honest with you. all of which have their own mental disabilities and issues that haven't been diagnosed yet or gone through yet, who obviously either need meds or need therapy, or need more friends, whatever. I've noticed that a clear symptom of somebody who isn't all there in terms of growing up is that they can't take criticism. I've noticed that I used to be that way. Freely admit that. Just before university and some way through university as well. Eventually, the real world kicked my ass to such an extent after university that it just beat that out of me. So I'm just not that way anymore. I'm just, But yes, the fact that the warning sign for me was the Blood Angels player. Him saying, he was having a go at me, when in reality the Blood Angels players probably said to him, "Oh no, I don't think the Exorcists are Blood Angels successors. I think they're Grey Knight successors." And didn't even that get nuked in the codex? Oh, read the codex. I think it does say it in there. He's probably said something like that, and this guy's taken it upon himself to get offended and annoyed, and think that it's a persecution thing. Persecution complex is a huge red flag for somebody who has either not developed properly yet. What I mean by that is he just needs to grow up a little bit, that's all. It needs life to kick him in the bollocks. Or it's a serious, not serious, but an underlying mental health issue that's going on. It seems to me like you're a normal guy who's just walked into a group full of those people. Unfortunately. And this happens a lot in the hobby too. Because we do shelter a lot of broken people, We do shelter a lot of broken people. Which means that sometimes those broken people act out and ruin the hobby for everybody else. But that's the same geekdom over. Any geekdom thing you're involved in will have that. But because in Warhammer 40,000 you're actively playing against somebody, and unlike most other games, we throw a lot of money into our hobby. Because of that, you're going to get some very salty people, and unfortunately you've walked into one of those situations. Don't have any advice for you, my friend, but you did the right thing in calling it out, and hopefully you learn from it, and hopefully you get better games in the future. Get back in touch with me if you're ever in the Liverpool area, and I'll be sure to give you a game. So, those are my stories for today. I think we did 4 or 5, which is really, really good. We have more to come probably on Monday now, because I'm going to go get drunk this weekend. And then on Sunday night, we're recording some more Black Coat. So, very exciting. So, tomorrow night, I'm going to get drunk. Fun fact, I've said this on the Discord, but fun fact is a joke for you. What's tall, green, and has sex with 40-year-old women? Northern Exile in his lucky green overcoat. See you guys later. Love you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye now.